I can't really believe it. We've been through so much together, trying to figure out how old you are, who your father is, even what level your Pikachu is. It's weird to think that it's all over. No, it can't be over. I know you finally achieved your dream, but I'm not ready to let you go.
Hey, I'm sure we'll still be able to see each other. I mean, if anyone's gonna figure out a way to keep talking about me, it's gonna be you.
You really mean that? Wait, what is this? That's it! I know how I can keep theorizing about you.
Well, that didn't take long at all. Eh, Pikachu?
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that knows that the truest of Pokemon Masters are the ones that catch the subscribe button. Speaking of catching, oh boy, was I not ready to catch all the feels when Pokemon released their newest trailer. After 9 regions, 52 badges, 83 Pokemon, so long as you count 30 Tauros, and 25 years of being 10 years old, Ash Ketchum is finally retiring as the protagonist of the Pokemon anime. Last year, Ash finally achieved his dream and became the Pokemon World Champion at the end of Pokemon Ultimate Journeys, which meant that, realistically, there really wasn't anything left for Ash to do as a character. He is literally the best, like no one ever was. But it's not like the anime can just end. That machine needs to keep on printing money. In other words, it needs some fresh blood, new faces, new heroes to learn the same lessons that Ash did along his journey. And in the latest trailer, we got exactly that. We were teased a new series set in the Paldea region from the newly released Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games. But instead of Ash, we get 2 new protagonists, Roy and Rico. Immediately after the release of this singular image, the fanbase exploded with speculation about these characters. They're gonna be mentored by Ash. They're gonna be introduced in the final episode of Ash's season. Ash is gonna be their rival. But of all the speculation, one theory seemed to rise above the rest. That Rico, the new female protagonist, is gonna be revealed as Ash's daughter. And this isn't just the fanbase wildly speculating to keep Ash a part of the series. The evidence they cite is actually pretty compelling. First of all, Rico has black hair, at least partially, which obviously matches Ash's hair. But more importantly, she's wearing a hair clip that bears a striking resemblance to the L symbol from Ash's original cap when he began his Pokemon journey. Also, careful-eyed fans noticed the necklace that she's wearing looks remarkably similar to the Thunderstone that Pikachu refused to evolve with back during the original anime. Could it be that her pops, Ash Ketchum, gave her this memento as a symbol of overcoming struggles and not taking the easy way out? Even the name Rico has been pointed out by some to be a nod to Rika Matsumoto, the longtime Japanese voice actress for Ash. And the theories didn't stop there either. Once everyone was done pitting Ash as Rico's dad, the internet did what it loves to do, good old-fashioned shipping. If Ash is the father, who then is the mother? Each corner of the fandom started throwing out ideas to prove that their favorite companion was the true Mrs. Ketchum. But looking around, it seemed pretty clear that people were just being blinded by the waifu goggles rather than the cold, hard facts of science. So, you know what that means? It's time for me to break out the old paternity test. Ready your eye colors and earlobes, friends. We're settling this debate today. If Ash is truly the father of Rico, who is the mother? Let's start by figuring out our complete list of potential matches, shall we? If Ash is gonna be Rico's father, then it makes sense that her mother would be a character that we as fans are already familiar with. Admittedly, it could just wind up being some random girl named Jennifer that we've never been introduced to before, but that'd be pretty lame. So instead, we naturally turn to the roster of Ash's many female companions over the course of the series to find his special romance. I compiled a comprehensive list of maybe mommies to find the perfect OTP for Ash, and wound up with 15 candidates in total. Obviously, we have Misty from the original series, May from the advanced generation, Dawn from Diamond and Pearl, Iris from Black and White, Serena from XY, Lily, Mallow, and Lana from Sun and Moon, and Chloe from the newest Pokemon Journeys series. But to be extra thorough here, I also tossed in a few long shots. These are one-off or side characters who showed some passing romantic interest in Ash during some point of the series. This list includes Melody from Pokemon the Movie 2000, as well as Macy and Angie from Johto and Sinnoh, one-off characters that developed crushes on Ash, usually after he saved their lives.
Hey, you two, you hanging in there?
We're fine. Thank you, Ash.
No problem. Glad you're fine.
So brave and courageous and so caring.
So you're a Pokemon trainer, huh? I guess he'll do. Here's your traditional welcome kiss. Mwah.
We also have Lyra from Diamond and Pearl and Miette from XY, rival characters who outright tell Ash's female companion for each series that if they don't make a move on Ash, they're just gonna steal him away.
I guess if we're all gonna spend the rest of our lives in here, we'll all get married here. I've got 3 choices.
One thing. Either you tell Ash how you feel about him, or I'll tell him how I feel. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Finally, we of course have Latias. Yep, the Pokemon. If you're not familiar with this particular nugget of lore, at the end of the Pokemon Heroes Latios and Latias movie, the Pokemon Latias, in the form of a girl named Bianca, gives Ash a kiss, a move that shocks the whole gang, as well as everyone in the audience. And yeah, the Pokemon movies up to that point were considered canon. So, with our complete list of 15 assembled, or 14 and 1 Pokemon, it's time to use our greatest companion science to narrow down this list of ladies and find the mother.
I am Butch Loxon. I'm a Los Angeles-based artist who creates skull mask and performs with smoke. I'm inspired by the Day of the Dead culture here in Los Angeles. The biggest benefit of being on Facebook as an artist is instantly being able to reach your audience. Being able to have fans who support you really helps with my motivation and also my mental health. I seem to connect with a lot of fans in Mexico. I have a lot of fans in India and also in Europe. So I would say connecting on Facebook is limitless. You can't be afraid. You have to just put your stuff out there.
Do you even realize what your life means?
What are you so afraid of?
Rated mature.
PlayStation.
Let's start with eye color, shall we? We've discussed eye color plenty of times on this show, so to quickly summarize, every single person has 2 copies of each of their genes. One comes from mom and one comes from dad. These genes come in different flavors called alleles. Dominant alleles are for the traits that are stronger and cover up the weaker recessive alleled traits. When it comes to eye color, there are actually 3 possible alleles: brown, green, and blue. If you inherit a blue allele from your mom and a blue allele from your dad, well, congratulations, you got yourself blue eyes. 2 brown alleles give you brown eyes, and 2 green give you green. Super simple. But what happens when you get 2 different alleles? Well, in the case of eye color, brown is going to be the dominant gene, blue is recessive, and green is just somewhere in the middle. So if you get yourself 1 brown allele, it's going to butt in like Jesse's Wobbuffet, means you're likely going to have yourself brown eyes. If someone gets 1 green allele and 1 blue, they're going to have green eyes because green is dominant over blue. The only way to get blue eyes is with 2 recessive blue alleles. Knowing that, let's then apply it to Rico. Since Rico has blue eyes, we know for sure that she has 2 recessive blue alleles. Except that already presents us with a problem. Ash has brown eyes, just like his mom. Sure, Ash may have brown eyes and still pass on a recessive blue allele to his children, but it makes the odds of him having a blue-eyed child much lower. Now, while it's true that Rico's mother could also have herself a secret blue allele, it is much more likely if Ash is the father that the mom has to have blue eyes, so she's guaranteed to pass that trait on. As such, we're gonna eliminate all the candidates who don't have blue eyes. That eliminates Iris, Lily, Mallow, Chloe, Angie, Miette, and Latias, which, whew, I am glad that we knocked Latias out right away, because the idea of Pokemon and humans having romantic feelings for each other would definitely be, uncomfortable.
Smash.
Okay, the heart wants what the heart wants. It's Mark, after all. Who am I to deny this man his happiness? The blue eye criteria also puts Macy and Misty on the bubble because their eye color is annoyingly inconsistent. Sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's green. On the wiki, Misty's eye color is actually labeled as Viridian, which is both blue and green, so we're just gonna keep them both in the running for now. So, with our potential mom list cut in half, it's time to look at our second favorite genetic trait, hair color. Hair color is predominantly determined by the presence or absence of 2 pigments in your hair: eumelanin, a black-brown pigment, and pheomelanin, a yellowish-red pigment. You can actually think of these 2 as dials that can be turned up and down to generate a whole different range of hair colors. If your hair contains high levels of eumelanin and lower levels of pheomelanin, then your hair is going to be a dark color such as black or brown. If your hair has low levels of eumelanin and high levels of pheomelanin, then your hair is going to be lighter like a blonde or a redhead. And in between those is just a whole other spectrum of color. Now, in the main image that we've seen for Rico, it's kind of hard to tell what her exact hair color is thanks to the lighting. However, looking at this brief seen from the announcement trailer, it makes it a lot clearer that her hair is black with blue underlights. That's the official term for highlights that are hidden underneath the top layer of hair. Now, blue is, of course, not a natural hair color in our world, but this is an anime. Weird color hair just kind of comes with the territory. So we're gonna have to make some assumptions about the genetics of non-natural colors. Since more hair colors are possible in the anime world, that most likely means that there just must be more pigments besides eumelanin and pheomelanin. Therefore, there are more dials that we can play with when deciding hair color. There's probably a dial for green hair, purple hair, and most importantly for us, blue hair. Since Rico's hair is both black and blue, that means that the genes for both are gonna be cranked up to the max. If Ash is the father, that then explains the black hair, meaning that we need ourselves a mom that has blue hair to contribute that half of the genes. My deepest condolences to all the Serena and Misty shippers out there, because there are only 2 girls left in our list that have both blue eyes and blue hair. Dawn from Diamond and Pearl, and Lana from Sun and Moon.
Hey, Dane, is Ash your boyfriend?
Huh? Ash, no way!
Come on, if you had to choose between the 3, who would it be?
I never thought of it.
Lana, is he your boyfriend? He's not.
So now that we've narrowed it down to 2, we need to find some feature to distinguish between our 2 female finalists. How do we decide between Dawn and Lana? Well, normally I'd go to earlobes or face shape, but honestly, it isn't nearly that complicated. All we really need to do is take a closer look at their eyes. If you look at Dawn's eyes, there are 3 different visible colors: the whites of her eyes, known as the sclera, the blue irises, and her black pupils. Now take a look at Lana. Notice anything strange? Her sclera is non-existent. What's even weirder is the fact that her pupils aren't black, they're actually white. And this isn't just part of the weird redesign that all the characters got for the Alola arc. Every other lead character has themselves normal eyes. And we know it's a genetic trait here because the only other characters in the show to have the same quirky look are Lana's parents and her 2 little sisters, Harper and Sarah. It is a trait that is passed between generations. And when we look at Rico, she's lacking that crucial family feature, meaning that Lana cannot be the mother. And so we come to the end of our investigation. Rico's mother and Ash's true shipping partner is, in fact, Dawn from Diamond and Pearl. She's got blue eyes to pass on the blue allele, blue hair to match with Rico's underlights, and actual pupils that her daughter can inherit. So there you have it, Ash and Dawn together forever. Unless that's not actually the full story here. I did a lot of research for this episode, and the more I looked, the more I realized that the initial premise this entire online theory is based on is shakier than Groudon's earthquake. This whole time we've been working with the assumption that Ash is the father, but no, it just doesn't make sense. Let's start with the hair clip, shall we? Well, the design is undeniably a reference to Ash's iconic cap. It's a hair clip, it's not a paternity test. Rico is just as likely to have gotten that clip the same way Ash got his first ever cap.
I had to send in about 1 million postcards to win that hat!
You know what else that hair clip looks like? The antenna of an orbeetle. Maybe that's who the real father is.
Pass.
No accounting for taste, I suppose.
People come to Canada for many reasons. No matter where they're from or why they're here, a warm Canadian welcome can make a difference.
And what about that Thunderstone necklace that supposedly came from the anime's original season? Well, it would make for a great story to say that Ash held on to that Thunderstone all these years and eventually gave it to his daughter as a symbol of how Pikachu and Ash got stronger through hard work. It would be a complete retcon of what we see happen in the story. We know what happens to that Thunderstone. It was originally featured all the way back in episode 14, and after Pikachu rejects it, the fate of the stone is left as an open mystery. However, it does finally show up again in episode 540 during the Diamond and Pearl arc. In this episode, Ash reveals that he's kept the stone the entire time.
What's that? It's a Thunderstone. Huh? You see, something like this happened once. And back then, the Nurse Joy from Vermilion City gave it to me. I've been holding on to it all this time in case Pikachu ever wanted to evolve into Raichu.
In the episode, the pair has to face off against another strong Raichu, meaning Ash and Pikachu must once again contemplate whether or not to use the stone to evolve. I love that it's not just enough to recycle the same plot theme, but even doing it against the same Pokemon? Like, why not a dragon Pokemon? Or a god Pokemon or something? Nope, those darn Raichu just always causing you to have that real existential crisis. Anyway, as you can probably guess, they decide not to evolve Pikachu again. But this time, there's a twist. Team Rocket shows up, steals the Thunderstone, and at the end of the episode, reveal that they plan on selling it.
Hey, Sunshine, what about this?
Since pursuit can be expensive, let's sell
what?
First we all to knit online, so we'll all be rich.
In short, the Thunderstone is long gone before Ash ever thinks about having kids. And before you say it, no, Rico is not the child of Team Rocket. Trust me, I checked. Even the genetics are against Ash. Sure, Ash could have a recessive blue allele, but that's a big if. And the whole black hair thing, characters with black hair and blue eyes in this series are a dime a dozen. Just take Go from Journeys, or even Riley from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. For completeness, I also ran an analysis on their faces and found that, again, the likelihood of it being Ash was minimal. If you watched the episode where I revealed that Bo Burnham is secretly Dream's father, you'll know that face shape can be a big tell in genetics. So I found the best shots of all the characters facing forwards, did some pixel measurements, put them into an online face shape calculator, and the results were surprising. Most of the women ended up having the same or very similar ratios. Basically, all of them were categorized as a heart-shaped face. Rico also has a heart-shaped face, so it doesn't really help me narrow the field any. Now, scientifically speaking, daughters are supposed to get a balanced mix of their mom's and their dad's face shapes. And while Ash's measurements do lead to a heart-shaped face, all his other proportions are too big to match with Rico's. His jaw is much longer, his cheeks are wider, and his forehead is far too bulbous. Couldn't help myself on that one. All of this means that Ash's head is simply too large to be paired with any of the companions on the show in order to produce a daughter with the face shape of Rico. The science just doesn't add up. I don't think Rico's parents are gonna end up having some significant lore implication. And you know what? I am more than happy with that. Well, yeah, it'd be cool to see the daughter of the legendary Ash Ketchum go on her own journey to become a Pokemon master like her father. I also think it would kind of defeat the purpose of bringing in a new protagonist in the first place. Pokemon is a story about how anyone can rise to greatness through hard work and determination. Ash started off as a derpy screw-up from a small town in the middle of nowhere. He had good intentions and a great heart, but not a lot of skill. Honestly, he still doesn't have a lot of skill. Using Thunder Shock for everything does not a strategy make. But he has matured. He's learned. He's grown. He's gone through more than his fair share of failures, and now he's achieved his childhood dream. To just hand the Torchic off to his daughter is falling into the trap that so many other franchises have fallen into recently. That you have to be one of the chosen ones in order to win. It undermines that core idea that this trainer could be anyone. It could be you. It's scary for things to change, but it's also okay. I also know that eventually Ash is gonna show up as a surprise battle for Rico towards the end of her journey because that's how Pokemon do. So, while yes, I am loath to see Ash go, I'm also okay moving on. Because let's be honest, he really should have gotten with Serena or Misty the entire time. But hey, that's just an opinion. My gamer opinion. Thanks for listening. And hey, if you're still not ready to say goodbye to Ash, why not check out our other episode where we figured out how old he really is. Maybe it'll make you rethink all the shipping we've been talking about in this episode. That video is over on the left. Or why not take a look at the video on the right to see our other massive Pokemon episode where we calculated Pikachu's actual level. For both of these, we had to watch a lot of anime to come up with accurate conclusions, so if you could hit that subscribe button, it would definitely make it worth all the hard work. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm blasting off again!
Canadian Tire.
For fans of Pokemon, even more so the anime, 2023 is a bittersweet year. Ash Ketchum is one of the most iconic characters in fictional media, having a signature look that only has changed slightly since the late 90s, and after these past couple decades, his journey throughout the world of Pokemon is set to come to an end by the end of this year. When originally hearing that announcement, I felt two things. One, a sense of closure that never felt like it was a reality that would happen, and two, this emotional sense of nostalgia that has driven me to re-experience Ash's journey from his beginnings in Pallet Town to becoming world champion to his final goodbye. Throughout the next several months, looking through over 25 seasons, 1,200 episodes, and 24 movies, we will be going on this journey with Ash to cope with the ending of a character that has been there nearly my whole life. As much as the character has meant to me as a child, I have had the pleasure of calling Sarah Natacheni, the current voice actor of Ash for over 16 years, a friend in more recent recent years, and it has just been such a joy to see the legacy of the character do so many things he was trying to achieve back when I was a kid, and now get to this well-deserved finish line. Whether or not you're a massive fan of Pokemon, at one point I feel like Ash Ketchum and his adventures in the Pokemon world has meant something to you. Today we're going to gear up and begin our journey right where it all started, with a boy from Pallet Town who is eager to get his first ever Pokemon. Welcome to the complete guide to Ash's journey. Yeah, before we get into it, we have to look at where it all began, where in Japan, Pokemon was becoming quite popular, with the original games, Red and Green, coming out in 1996. The success of the games led to the card game becoming a reality later that year, and this spiral of Pokemania within Japan alone was starting to boom. From there, having manga adaptations and several other media vessels all stemming from just the games, it ultimately led up to the anime being based on the concept of the video game coming out on April 1st, 1997 in Japan. But it was anything but a joke. The show would follow Satoshi on his journey to become a Pokemon master. It wouldn't be long until the Pokemon bubble in Japan was ready to expand, and rather than this natural growth of the franchise we saw in Japan, the plan for the North American market was to hit with a double whammy right away, and changing how unsuspecting future fans would grow to love the Pokemon property. First, on September 7th, 1998, the anime would premiere on television, introducing kids to the character of Ash Ketchum, with the first video games, Red and Blue, releasing a few weeks later on September 28, where now you can be like Ash with a video game. It was a smart tactic to pull off, and this isn't even including the fact that just a handful of months later, on January 9th, 1999, the trading card game would also come out. This was a triple threat attack on all fronts. Full-on Pokemania had hit and had hit hard, but what they led with in the States here was the anime, where the show would be in the hands and mercy of 4Kids Entertainment, who would handle producing the English dubbing at this moment in time. 4Kids was infamous for the edits it would make before episodes were cleared for broadcast, or even not allowing certain episodes to be dubbed at all, leaving them as not included in the run of episodes shown here in the States. The censorship overall can be tackled more in detail later on, but we have arrived at the show being a full-on reality. A 10-year-old boy from Pallet Town begins his journey to become Pokemon Master along with his first ever Pokemon, Pikachu. What a journey he will have.
It's 11 o'clock and you should be asleep.
Pokemon will return in a moment on Kids WB. Back to an all-new Pokemon on Kids WB.
You ever find yourself sitting back and thinking, who is Ash? Well, that's the million-dollar question. Maybe throughout our 1,200 plus episodes of the show, we'll be able to answer that. He's a complex character that we see change over time from era to era. But for where he is now at the beginning of the series, Ash is very much a kid with little knowledge of the Pokemon world, regardless of how much he likes to think he does. He's not super responsible, he can be kind of rude sometimes, and his determination can blind him from his shortcomings. But by golly, does the kid have heart? I feel why we, the viewers, got attached to him as a character was because he was kind of a goofball. He had all the makings of a main character we would want to root for, but he was nowhere near perfect. In fact, he loses and fails quite often, making it known that it is okay to do so, but to never give up. You could see yourself in Ash, believe in his journey, and root for him along the way. While I do believe Ash grows in character throughout the Indigo League, it's easier to look all the way towards the end within the Sword and Shield Journeys series, where he does feel a lot different. While he's still someone to root for and a lot of the original themes are still there with him, a lot more of those childish nature moments he had that drip feeds into the attitude in the original series really aren't there as much. I think a lot of what makes Ash so special throughout the show are his connections to the other companions he has along with him on his journey, with it constantly being changed after the Johto series. But in the beginning, we have an unforgettable cast here, which, yes, I include Pikachu in. I will separately speak on Ash's Pokemon later, but Pikachu is Pikachu, man. I mean, come on, it's a literal icon here. So let's start with him. While I will have more to say about Pikachu as the video goes on, his relationship with Ash in the beginning of the Pokemon anime is so important. From the very start, having this antagonistic nature towards Ash and being extremely standoffish, only really caring about himself. Of course, this dynamic starts changing once they protect each other from the Spearows in the first episode, and this bonding relationship between the two starts building out from there. Pikachu also has this goofy nature and tougher attitude most of the time, but this adapts to a more precious and caring personality towards the group he travels with, and the other Pokemon who join the team along the way. We can only sit here and speculate Pikachu's past, why he is the way he is, why the lightning bolt on the Pokeball he came from may indicate a sadder past of a previous trainer based on the ball decoration. Well, not quite. We actually do have an answer to this, but it's way later on and something we're going to tackle many parts later. But for now, we can see where he started here in this series and where he goes throughout the show in general. Why did Ash get Pikachu and not any other starter from the Kanto region? Well, because he was late to pick up a starter Pokemon and they were all gone. But the real answer was that this yellow mouse was perfect to sell the franchise to the viewer base that attracted everyone. Originally, it was this pink ball of terrifying power. Imagine the adventures of Ash and Clefairy for 25 years. Yeah, I just can't see it. Sure, it's fun in the manga, but how well is that going to translate when the show is very much not like the manga? But that all comes down to the personality, which Pikachu is full of and why he deserves to be counted as a traveling companion. Next, let's talk about Misty, arguably the most iconic redhead in media. Oh, you think you have a better answer than that you're writing in the comments right now? Well, you're probably wrong. How about that? Misty is the perfect person to keep Ash in line when his eyes are too big for his stomach. By that I mean his ambitions overtaking his better judgment. She's pretty complex as a character, having a deep-rooted backstory with Cerulean City, has specific reasons for joining Ash on his journey, and where their relationship ends up by the end of their journey together, as well as when she makes some cameos way later on in more recent series, with her having her own goals in mind that she discovers for herself. She, along with Brock, who we will get to in a second, really are the backbone supporting Ash throughout his highs and his lows and navigating his journey to be the best like no one ever was, mixing her well-deserved annoyance with her support for him while he battles. Being in the gym leader circuit with the heavy pressure from her sisters forcing her to be so hard on herself, we see her start building this confidence in herself. It's something that you can also root for, and it adds something for the audience watching. It gives them another character to find themselves in. And for Brock, a gym leader circuit person out of responsibility and necessity that much rather would care for Pokemon, working towards his goal of being a great Pokemon breeder after leaving the gym world behind him, and meeting Ash and seeing his good-natured spirit on a path that he wanted to be a part of. Brock, while having his more interesting moments, overly being into every girl that he ever meets, and performing the song Two Perfect Girls, referring to his love for both Officer Jenny and Nurse Joy. Song slaps though, I can't lie. He's still a really caring person, giving a lot of his time on the journey to being the cook for both Ash and Misty, as well as all of the Pokemon on their journey. He knows how to help take care of Pokemon when there isn't a Pokemon Center around, serving as the team medic, just knowing his stuff when it comes to Pokemon care in general. This is our main group for the journey. Later on, I would like to dig into important characters we see throughout the series, from Team Rocket to Tracy to Professor Oak, but for the preliminary characters that we mainly focus on, that's a solid introduction to them before we start our real journey together.
Wait, flatbread pizza at Tim's?
Yep, flatbread pizza. Made with rich marinara sauce, 3 flavorful cheeses, and topped with slow-cooked chicken.
That's hot out of the oven?
Yeah, made just for you.
Delicious.
With 3 new flavors of flatbread pizzas, it's time for Tim's.
Why should we care about blockchain? What's inside the metaverse? And how can we make tech more inclusive and sustainable? We'll tackle these questions and more on Season 2 of the award-winning Lenovo Late Night IT. I'm Baratunde Thurston, and I'll be sitting down with industry leaders for unfiltered conversations. 8 episodes on trending topics like intelligent automation, the future of data, and workplace mental health. Welcome to Lenovo Late Night IT.
Ah, the start. Has something ever been so scary and daunting, yet so exciting and fun? Well, we start things off with a vision of the Pokemon League, and a young 10-year-old Ash Ketchum is gearing up for his big day tomorrow of seeing Professor Oak and choosing his starter Pokemon for his journey to begin. At 10 years old, trainers are able to get a starter Pokemon and go off alone on their own journey to, well, do whatever, I guess. Most of them go up against the Pokemon League. Some find other purposes in life outside of just battling, though, but Ash here wants to be the best. But thanks to Ash accidentally destroying his alarm clock, the following morning he wakes up late to be at Professor Oak's lab to choose his starter. Upon arriving, half awake and still in his pajamas, he sees Gary Oak, his ultimate rival for the series and the grandson to the professor. The attitude Gary serves Ash drives him to be the best that he can be, especially against Gary down the road. When speaking to Professor Oak, he learns that all of the starter Pokemon, aside from one special option, had been taken. This is where we first meet Pikachu, and Ash tries his best to enjoy the choice he's making while Pikachu wants nothing to do with him, and kind of reluctantly ends up going with him. Pikachu also isn't a fan of being in his Pokeball, causing problems from being outside of it, like shocking everyone, including Ash's overprotective yet oddly easy to push him out of the house mother, making the whole leaving in celebration on the journey pretty awkward. These first moments along with Ash and Pikachu are very crucial, with Pikachu being completely standoffish and Ash being determined to become his friend, rather than just a trainer. Ash, without the help of Pikachu, just tries to capture Pokemon right off the bat, but has many issues not understanding that he needs to weaken the Pokemon first for a better chance. Pikachu just mocks him for this, but Ash attempts to throw a rock at a group of Pidgey, but the rock hits a Spearow who was in the middle, and they aren't as chill as the average Pidgey. So in retaliation for literally getting hit with a rock, Spearow swoops in and starts attacking them. Pikachu gets attacked as well for just being associated. Ash tries to help Pikachu, but Pikachu is just defending himself at this point. Once the Spearow calls in for backup, the two run away as they constantly get pecked by these birds, while Ash's main concern is Pikachu's safety rather than his own, carrying him away once he is badly attacked. Ash then comes across a girl who we get introduced to as Misty shortly, as she is fishing as Ash gets lectured about what a Pokemon Center is and what way to go to get Pikachu there, as he then steals her bike for a faster getaway, and she stands there pissed. The sky starts darkening, a storm starts up as the Spearow swarm closer, knocking Ash and Pikachu from the bike and right into the mud. Ash does what he can to protect Pikachu, offering him to get in his ball for safety, and just asking Pikachu to trust him as he stands up, blocking the Spearow from attacking Pikachu any further. But as they swoop in for an attack on Ash, Pikachu uses the last bit of strength he has to jump in front of Ash and hits them all with a blast of electricity, defeating him. The two of them later awake as the skies clear, face to face on the ground, weakened, but in relieved states, as above them a mysterious gold silhouetted Pokemon flies above. At the time when this came out, we had no idea who this was. It wasn't in the 151 that we knew, and it had to be in the more to see part of the song.